welcome to Seriously Uncork Yourself. I am your host, Lynn Kuhn, and this is a podcast that brings to you a firsthand look at what it seriously means to meet people where they are in their life. Enjoy the experience from illusions to reality. Find out what it is to restore to high performance, renew your freedoms, and rejuvenate playfulness. I can't wait to share with you my experience and the experiences of many others in hopes that you feel inspired to renew yourself and live your best life. Thanks for listening. Now let's get started. Okay, welcome. Today I am so very excited and honored to have my special guest, Rachel Weaver, with me on my brand new podcast, Seriously Uncork Yourself. And I want to thank you very much, Rachel, for being here. I know that you are just so extremely busy right now, and we're going to let Rachel talk about that a little bit later and let you guys all know why she's so busy right now. But what this podcast is going to be about, we're going to talk about overcoming change and loving yourself enough to keep moving forward during hardships. And just to let you know how I met Rachel, Rachel has first and foremost became a very good friend over the last couple of years. And I met Rachel through a friend of mine. And since then, we've stayed in contact, and as of lately, we've been doing a lot of things. But back in the day, we went to trainings together. We traveled to trainings for these weekend 4-day trainings that we did, and we have done some things online. But a lot of it is we just collaborate with each other and talk a lot about our coaching programs and what we're doing with our businesses. And of course, what we're doing with our children and our families. And so it's just been a really great journey of having somebody that you can go ahead and count on and work with. And I just believe that's so important. What I'd like to do is also tell you a little bit about who she is. And then also let her talk about herself just a bit too, about what she's doing. And then, but Rachel right now, as far as I know, that she just has the 2 children. No, I'm just kidding. She does have only the 2. She has the 2 children. She has a daughter and a son. And they are together with her right now, awaiting their father to come home. And she also was a salon owner and spa consultant for over 15 years. And then she decided to pursue her passion by helping women to find and love their true selves by teaching them how to release themselves from the judgment that society puts on them and from the judgment they put on themselves. And we really need that nowadays. We really need to understand those things. And so, Rachel, I would love for you to just tell the audience a little bit about yourself too.
Well, thank you so much. Wow, that was quite the introduction. I really appreciate that so much, Lynn. Thank you. I just adore you, and I'm so grateful for our masterminding together. It's been amazing. But hello, everyone. I'm Rachel Weaver. I'm super excited to be here. As Lynn mentioned, first and foremost, I'm a wife and a mom of 2 kids. I also have a fur baby. I have been in the salon and spa industry for over 15 years. I've also been in the travel industry for quite some time. And as of recently, I have decided to pursue my passion of helping women to find their true selves by teaching them how to release themselves from judgment of society and from the judgment that they put on themselves, really. Right now is just, I feel, a really important time with what the world is going through. I feel like the judgment that we're putting on ourselves to handle all of the extra things as being mom, and now you're being teacher, and you're trying to work your job from home with your kids, and everything all together with one. I feel so many women are just feeling like they're drowning. And so I just really want to teach them the ropes that I've taken in my own personal life to bring my head above water, and not only bring my head above water when I felt like I was drowning, but to really find my true authentic self and live a purposeful life. So
no, that is just great. I just love all that. And to start this off, I'm going to ask this question. And I think this question will resonate with the rest of our podcast that we're putting here together. And what does it mean to you, Rachel, to seriously meet someone where they are at in their life?
Well, for me, I feel as though meeting someone where they're at is to be completely open and accepting, even when we have differences, even when we come from different parts of the world, even when we don't agree on everything. I truly believe in going in and loving people without judgment, because you have no idea where those people have been or what they have been through before you stepped into their life. So for me, meeting people where they're at is just truly trying to get to know their heart and their soul today, where they are today, rather than where they've been in their past.
Absolutely. So this ties into, and I think this is so interesting, your journey, because you, at such a young age that you have experienced a lot of life's ups, life's downs. And I think you have so much to give to people that are listening to us right now. So we're going to take a little bit of a turn here. And I would love for you to tell our audience, what has your journey been like? And I know we don't have, enough time to do the whole, but at least let's, tell them, where you've been and what things are going on right now in your life. I think it's very interesting because I believe that it will give a lot of people out there the confidence, and we can talk a little bit about confidence later on in this broadcast too, but I think it'll give people the confidence and to understand what different steps that they have to take. And it doesn't have to be like these astronomical steps that you have to do in all one big thing, and we need to break things up. And so I'm going to let you take it over. So go ahead, Rachel.
Okay. So a little about my journey. Wow. Well, in part, first and foremost, I've been truly blessed in my life to have had the opportunity to live in 3 different countries in the past 7 years. I lived over in Europe. I lived in Italy, as a matter of fact, for about 3 years, and returned home for a little over 2 years back to the USA. And then my husband and I took our children and we moved over to Asia. We were living off of an island off of China, as a matter of fact, a small little island off of the mainland. And we lived there for almost 2 years total. Now, my children and I did not actually get to remain in China or in our location for very long, because about a year and January, about 15 months after we arrived is when the pandemic started. And I took my children and we flew home thinking we'd be separated from my husband for the next 4 weeks tops. Little did we know that we were on for a significant ride of being separated from my husband for 7 months. Just over 7 months we have been away from him, and not knowing when we would be able to return to China. Thankfully, he was able to accept a opportunity back here in the States, and he will be returning home next week. So I'm super excited right now for that to be coming forward to us. But it has been quite an interesting journey, that's for sure, because we sold everything before we moved. So when my kids and I arrived back in the States, we did not have a home to go back to, and we did not have cars to drive. And so thankfully, we have an incredible family and friends who have allowed us to stay with them off and on throughout the journey after we did our quarantine. And we've all been able to stay healthy and a little bit sane.
Yeah. And your husband, he's been healthy too. And that's such a God's blessing. And so thank goodness for that. And so he's going to be coming home shortly. Oh my gosh. And I am just so excited for that day for when he finally hits the USA soil, which should be pretty soon. Thank you, God. Right. And, but through this, and I know that, you've been an entrepreneur for a long, long time. And what, going through all these changes, what has it really taught you? What is something that you can share with us that has helped you to grow? Because I know that from, us speaking together quite a bit, and I know a lot of the endeavors that you're uncertain. You were actually, just like anyone else would be, a little cautious of taking these steps, but yet you did it. So my question basically too is like, where did you get that confidence? Because it's scary. It's scary to go ahead and decide. And I'm gonna let you explain what those are and how you did that, and where did that confidence come from?
Yes. So it is scary. Being an entrepreneur is always going to be a risk, and it's always going to take a lot of. I'm being really honest and candid with you here. It's going to be a lot of work, a lot of sacrifice, and a lot of dedication. And so for me, I felt as though I showed success on the outside, maybe on paper or financially, or even with the smile on my face, I was breaking apart and not reaching my full potential. And that was because I was allowing everyone else around me or society around me to place these judgments. And it really set me back and held me in this stuck position. Although I was an entrepreneur and it looked like an amazing journey on the outside, it's a very challenging thing, especially I believe for a woman, because other women love to judge us, right?
Right. Yeah.
I'm an entrepreneur, so I work really hard, but I also, what other people don't know is like, what I've done in the past is, which is not good, and I don't recommend this, but I would sacrifice sleep to make sure my kids and my husband were taken care of so that I could still take care of my business when everyone else is sleeping. So I think that, there's give and take everywhere, but it's going to be really fulfilling and understanding what your true heart wants. You can still love your children, your husband, your family, and put them first, but also fulfill your dreams and go after those with loving yourself and having the successful career that you've always wanted. I didn't know in the beginning, when I first started my entrepreneurial endeavors, if you will, the importance of self-love and reflection and understanding that what everyone else thinks doesn't truly matter. So it took me a long time. And so for my journey, I really had to work with a lot of coaches, and I had to take certain steps and rituals and time blocking. What I've learned over the years is that your morning should be your sacred time.
Absolutely.
And for me, that when I finally understood that, and my coach taught me that my mornings need to be all about loving me and setting myself up for gratitude with the right mindset. If I miss one thing out of my miracle morning, if you will, I feel it throughout the whole day. and my whole day is off.
Right.
And it's not something that's crazy. Like, I'm not telling you every morning you have to go for a massage or a swim. It's tiny little things that can make an absolute life-changing difference. So,
absolutely. Yeah. And I agree with that 100%. And it's almost like, and I know that if anybody has listened to me before and talk, I really can't in stress more than to do little things at a time, not to encounter the whole big thing and expect for yourself to do that. It takes little steps to create this, like, per se, a habit. So it takes those little steps to create it, but you need to really take care of yourself because, and I've learned this a long time ago, with me personally being in recovery, if I don't take care of myself, I can't take care of anybody else. No. And I used to feel like I was being selfish or self-centered for doing that. But then after you grow and you start to realize, and you're not afraid to do that because you really need to, that I've learned that if I don't take care of myself, nothing else is going to work. I'm not going to be the kind of person that I want to be even around, right? So you really need to put those in place, and especially with the self-improvement, and that can be mindset, that can be, just learning something new, that can be reading something new, definitely taking care of yourself, doing some exercise, taking care of your health. If you don't have your health, you have absolutely nothing. And that is so, so true. And I've learned this in the last, couple months of, going through different things that I have to do to repair my own self from, it's one of those things that, I just learned that I had to do because of a situation with the surgery that I had. And I knew that I had to do this. And I had to take that time off. And you just don't know how, you're going to recoup and rebound from that. So I think that's really, really important. So the other thing that I wanted to ask you is, what are some of the other things that you do to keep that confidence level up for yourself?
So for me, I am constantly working on growing. And the more I remain focused on my growth, the more my confidence rises.
Right.
And I truly think that, well, let me just put it to you this way. I went from being the mom at the swimming pool with a cover-up on the entire time, even though I might have been the most fit person there, because exercise is a huge part of my life. Diet and exercise, it just always has been. I have a family history of many health problems on my mom and my dad's side. So from the time I was 12 years old, I started making really wise health choices, or as wise as I thought that I could make at that age. And so, I never had the confidence, even though I was a healthy and fit person, to actually even take my swimsuit cover up off that. And it was partially my own lack of self-confidence, and also my not wanting anyone else to feel uncomfortable who might not have been healthy or fit. I didn't want them to feel uncomfortable. So I was always this person worrying about what other people would think. I don't want to hurt their feelings. So I'm going to not swim in the pool with my children. Like, it's ridiculous. As moms, like, no, our kids are tiny one time. Just a very short amount of time. And we sacrifice so much because of worrying about what other people think. So, I think for me, growing my confidence has truly been, I've been able to sustain the level of confidence by understanding and learning how to let go of that judgment. And that all comes with self-work and self-love. And so I believe over the last 2.5 years, I went on this journey of self-love. And it started off, I had already been working with a coach for a while. And when I went and took it a step deeper to hire a fitness coach and started working with her, I truly started to understand through what she taught me what it meant to love and accept who I am. And even though we were really only working on machines and weights and things like that, she helped me understand that confidence, what it would do for me if I could let go. And so I did every step that I knew needed to be taken. I took every step that had to be taken in order to let go of the stress and the worry that I allowed myself to go through. And part of that was identifying all of these trigger words that we say about ourselves, right? That we say, not pretty enough, not smart enough, unworthy, self-conscious, overweight, all these things that we think about ourselves, and understanding and separating, that's not who I am. Those are words, and those are negative voices that I have allowed to attach to my name. But those are not who I am. That is not who my soul is. So once you learn to identify and separate those, for instance, the sheep versus the lion methodology, that's your sheep. Those are your sheep voices or your weak animal voices. And that is not who you are. Those are just learned behaviors. And so once you can understand that those are just learned behaviors, then your strength, your soul, who you are, can overcome any of those behaviors and knock them out. You can start to identify throughout your daily life when you're allowing those negative voices to come in and make the change effective immediately to not allow those to affect you. So for me, that was a big part.
Yeah. So actually it goes back to almost like a complete circle to almost the beginning of that acceptance of change and how you welcome that change. And for you, change actually was pushing you to grow. And it seems to me, and just from knowing you personally, that you pretty much mastered that, and so what does somebody need to do for themselves that may not have some, outside resources, and they want this change. They want this, they know it, but they just don't know. They're just so, like, where do I go? And how am I going to do this? And, of course they don't have the confidence then. So it's like, I can't do that. What are some suggestions that you would give to somebody when they're just like thinking that they just can't do any of this at all? And they may not have the resources to reach out to somebody else. What are some of those positive mind thoughts that you could share?
I like to use reverse psychology. And I like to sit down and explain to someone. And this is what I've done in my own personal life, all the way back from when I first started college, as a matter of fact. I grew up in a very small town and went to college on the other side of the country. I grew up in a small town in Indiana, and I left 4 days after graduation, and I went to Las Vegas, Nevada to attend UNLV. So for me, it was like the further away I could go, the better. I had no idea what I was in for. Let's just say, you think you know everything when you're 18, but but I learned very, very early on that if I allow fear of change to run my life, then what's going to happen? So you sit down and you weigh the options. If you have something that you're really excited about and you really want to make happen, but yet you're comfortable and you're scared, well, there is always going to be a risk factor in every decision we make, right? There's always that small little risk factor. Well, what if it doesn't go right? what if, what if, what if? And so for me, I believe that if you sit down and you say, okay, if I don't go after this one passion or this one amazing thing that I'm thinking of doing that would cause change in my life, then what's going to happen if I don't go after it? And then write that down. And then what will happen if I do go after it? And you will see the significance in the two categories, because what will happen is you'll start to see, well, if I go after it, actually the risk, it's not like it's life-threatening.
Right.
The risk is not going to kill me, but the risk could bring me to the greatest thing of my entire life. The risk could bring me to fulfilling all of my dreams. So I think that you just have to understand that there's actually more risk in staying where you're at when you have one of these dreams, or a passion that you've thought about pursuing, but you've allowed fear to get in the way. And it doesn't have to be significant. Take one step towards it each day. Little things. I'm a huge person in writing things down. Like, that's just the way my brain works. If it's not written down, then forget it. I'm still I have my calendar on my phone, but I still have to have my written calendar. I'm very old school like that. But I'm a huge believer in when you handwrite things, and all the research is out there, how your brain is connected to your handwriting. Yep. And so I really, truly encourage people to take a pen and paper and really write things down when they're allowing fear to get in the way of something that they really want.
Right. And I love that. And that is just so true, because I know with myself too I have my Google also, but I have to write things down. And I think that because what it does, and, it connects from the brain, your hand to your brain, to, and then you see it and you know what your next plan is. Because a lot of times, you put something in a calendar, for me anyway too, is if you put it in a calendar on an app or whatever, it's there, but it's not the same thing that if you write it, especially if you're deciding on a goal. If you have a goal or like a new habit that you're just starting, or there's, and it takes how many days before that habit actually becomes something that is concrete. So in order to do that, when you are actually writing things down and you can see that. And then what I do too, which I think is really important, is I transfer those, like I do mine at night. Some people do them in the morning. But I'll write my list at night. And then in the morning, I'll pick out basically, what can I do? What can I do? Me, it's always, what can I do the fastest and get them out of here? Get them done, or sometimes though, there's that, to do the one that's the hardest, because sometimes if you procrastinate, then that one goes to the next day, and then to the next day, and then pretty soon, then you got a couple of those bigger ones piled up, and that makes things a little bit harder. But that's what I've learned too, and I think it's a good way to also organize things for yourself, especially when you are raising a family, and with me, it's very, very. There were a lot of things going on, but I think that's like that with everybody. I'm nowhere special. I think that everybody nowadays, even with this pandemic that we have going on, I believe that everybody is pretty much staying, pretty darn busy, because things are changing and things are different right now. So like, we may need to do these extra steps and to do the things that we did before. Now we have to take that extra step or two to get that same thing done. So it's just an ideas in your head that you guys got to get straightened to go ahead and go forward with it, but not to put so much on yourself, because to me, once you do that, and I think it's self-sabotaging when you do that, is you put so much on yourself. And I think it's because behind it all, you really just don't want to do it because you're afraid. And so like we were talking today, if you pick it apart and you do one thing at a time, and then you can move forward with that. And before we leave with our audience, I would like for you to leave with one last note. And also, I would love for you to go ahead and leave with our guests and how they can get our audience guests and how that they can get a hold of you. And also, I will put that in our show notes underneath for our podcast. So it'll be in there where people, in case they maybe don't catch it or they want to go back and then they hear that we're talking and they want to know how to get a hold of you. So what can you leave our guests with? What's really something very important that you want to leave them with before we take off here?
Well, I would love to leave everyone with the thoughts and sentiments to understand that they are absolutely worthy of going after anything that their heart really wants in life. Because we only get this one shot. And I just, at the end, I'm not really sure who has said this. I know multiple people, but where it originated from, I truly believe at the end of our time, you don't want to wish that you would have tried.
Yep.
In life. And so I'd say go after those things that your heart desires and love everyone as much as you can, who you are surrounded with. Yeah.
And I think that's so important because I know at my age and the older I get too, and looking back, and it's just like, there's so many things that I wish I would have done. And not that I can't do them now. It's just that you change, like right now I'm changing, I'm putting different priorities out there, and I know like one of them, I don't think I could ever be was a rock star. I always thought that I was going to be a rock star, right? Could you see that in the 80s? Yeah. You're like, you're going to be a rock. You'd have our microphones and our big hair. Yeah. That and the other thing that I always wanted to be was a surgeon. And I look back and it's just like, but now, I have different priorities and I just love, the way that my life is going. And now with all the children, it's just like, maybe I can pass that on to one of them that maybe they would, want to do something and to go ahead. Because see, back in the day with us, nobody in my family even went to college. I went to junior college and that was about it. Then I got married at a pretty young age. But anyway, this has been absolutely wonderful. Before I close out, I want you to go ahead and tell people how they can get a hold of you, Rachel.
Well, I would love to. Is it okay if I offer to give away a free gift to?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
If you would, anyone who would be interested, if they would text me their name and email address, I'd be happy to send them my free checklist to help them start their morning off right. In the right mindset to set their day off for a successful day. So they can text me at 219-424-0011. That's 219-424-0011. Or they can find me on Facebook at Facebook, Rachel Rayner .Weaver.
Okay, absolutely. And like I said, then we'll go ahead and we'll write that in the show notes so that everybody can, go ahead and check that out. And before we take off, I want to thank you so much for taking time out. This young lady is leaving soon with a U-Haul behind her for another state. She's little, but she's mighty. She's tiny, but she's mighty. And she gets to see her husband pretty soon, and I'm so excited for that to happen. It's been a long 7 months, a lot of things, with all this in the world that's been going on, and so I'm so happy, and I'm just giving both of you my love and my best wishes and safe travels, especially with your husband too, coming in. So anyway, I love you, and once again, thank you so much for making this one of my wonderfulest broadcasts and taking your time, because I know right now it's pretty short on time right now. You have a lot of things to do. Okay, honey, I love you so much and thank you.
Thank you so much. It was an honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into the show. I hope this brought out your passions, ignited you, and inspired you to restart and reclaim your life. Please subscribe to my podcast and feel free to leave a rating and a review. Until the next episode of Seriously Uncork Yourself, You can check out more information at lynnkuhn.com. That's Lynn, Lynn, Kuhn, Kuhn.com. Be sure to tune in for my next episode. Sending you all peace and love until our next time together. Seriously, uncork yourself.